Hi BookTube, my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today is Sunday, it is April the 18th, and I am coming to you with a weekly reads video. So this is for week 15. It is April the 11th through the 17th. So I finished 4 books this week, you guys. I had wanted to try and finish one more. My goal was actually 5 books this week, but yesterday was a bit of it was an off day for me. So before I get into all that, just so you guys know, everything will be time-stamped below. If you want to jump ahead right to the reviews or to certain reviews, you absolutely can. I am also going to then talk about what I'm currently reading and show you guys what I've been crafting on this week. So yeah, so yesterday was a bit of an off day for me. I think I mentioned in my Friday reads that I had to get blood work done yesterday for a doctor's appointment I have coming up. And I've had blood work done 1,000 times at least, and I'm probably not exaggerating. You know, with all the surgeries I've had, with all of the procedures I've had, you know, blood work is just something that I have to have done a lot. And like I've been on blood thinners now for over a decade, and I'm supposed to go every 2 or 3 weeks to have blood work done. So it's a lot. And it doesn't bother me. I'm not squeamish about it. I can't look. I just can't look when they're doing it. But, you know, the girls where I go, the technicians or the phlebotomists, is that what they're called? They are so good. And that's all that they do. Like, it's a lab and that's all that they do. And, you know, they kind of know me and, you know, I just remind them, I'm like, yeah, I've got, you know, some issues and stuff like that. Like I have scar tissue. Sorry if that's a little TMI for you guys. I don't know why it would be TMI, but in case anybody else is squeamish. So they know, right? But when I left there yesterday, my arm as I was driving home started to ache. And it was like a weird ache, like something I've never really felt before. And I'm like, it felt like it was like kinked up, like it needed to be stretched. So I was trying as I was driving, because it was this side that they did. I was trying to, like, as I was driving, you know, I was trying to, like, move my arm around and stuff like that. And then when I got home, later on in the afternoon, I started to get, like, a pain in my neck. So I think it was a few different things that kind of all accumulated together. Like, my arm was bothering me, and then my neck started bothering me, and I started to get a headache. So needless to say, not a lot of reading got done yesterday, unfortunately. But I did finish an audiobook yesterday, because that's what I was listening to on the way to and from getting the blood work done. So that was a bonus. At least I finished that book, so that's a good thing. But yeah, it was just a weird off day. Do you know what I mean? So today, like I said, is Sunday. Once I'm done recording and editing and uploading this, it's going to be a completely chill day for me, and I am looking forward to it. I want to finish the book that I meant to finish yesterday. I'm starting a new audiobook, so I'll talk all about those in my currently reading, but let's jump into the 4 books that I did finish this week. So right off the bat, the first book that I finished was The Bad Boys Redemption, and this was by Syndi Powell, and this I gave 4 stars to. This is book number 2 in the Matchmakers at Work series, but you did not have to necessarily have read the first book. I have not read the first book, so I will go back and do that, but I really enjoyed this one. This is a Harlequin Heartwarming number 372, and it was just published in April, so this is a brand new release this month, so it was really exciting to get to this one. So essentially, now this book looks like a chunker, but guys, brilliant. It was large print. Who doesn't love large print? I know I do. So this is a Harlequin heartwarming novel. I'll start off with that. For those of you who do not know, for the Harlequin imprint lines, the heartwarming line is a clean, for lack of a better term, clean romance line. There is no adult content in this. There's no innuendo. There's some kissing and stuff like that, but no. This is something that pretty much anyone who enjoys romance, no matter the steam level, would probably enjoy, unless you're one who just kind of goes in for the steam. If that's your jam, you're not going to like these ones. But this one was very much an emotion-driven story, and that's what these are. So unlike the love-inspired books, which are also no adult content, no swearing, no drinking, none of those things, the difference is that these ones are not faith-based. So there is no Christian underlying thing kind of happening with these books, whereas the love-inspired are definitely more a faith-based fiction, or a faith-based romance, I should say. So yeah, this one was really good. So this is the story of Shelby and Josh, and they knew each other in high school, and she has kind of been groomed in a way by her family since she was a little girl to eventually run for mayor of this small town that they live in. So Josh was kind of, as it says in the title, the bad boy. He kind of broke the rules in high school, and then he moved away, and he was gone for a number of years. And it was after his mother's death that he has now returned to town to kind of look after his dad. So he's really turned his life around to who he used to be. But the town still sees him as that troublemaker, essentially. And he has decided to run for mayor as well. So Shelby thought she was running unopposed. And now Josh is running against her. So the two of them, a lot of it is about the campaign and stuff like that. And even though I'm not really into politics, it was small town politics. So it's a completely different thing. You know what I mean? And it was really cute. Great small town atmosphere. I really liked all the characters in here. My biggest issue with this one was actually Shelby. I thought she was, at times, a witch with a capital B towards Josh. I mean, she was so snarky and rude to him. Like, I get that he wronged her in high school. Like, you know what I mean? I guess they were supposed to go to a dance together and he stood her up. But, like, come on, that was in high school. You're really going to judge somebody by what they did in high school? That's never flown with me very well, because the person you were then and the person you are in your 20s or into your 30s is a completely different person. People change, give people the benefit of the doubt kind of an idea. And, I mean, he apologized for it, and she was still like, oh, I have to win and win at all costs, and that kind of an idea. So, but their relationship was super cute. Like, definitely there was an attraction there, and they were trying to fight it because maybe they shouldn't be together because of the election. And I really liked the ending of it. I won't give it away, but the author has an author's note at the beginning of the book saying that she rewrote the ending for whoever won a couple times, like going back and forth to who actually won the election. And she said she was really happy with the outcome, and I am too. I thought it was really good. So I absolutely recommend this one, you guys. It was so, so cute, and I am really looking forward to going back and reading the first book. And to my understanding, there's going to be a third book as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so this one was definitely a winner. The next one that I read, which was a little bit different than that one, was an audiobook that I finished, and that was Gone Missing by Linda Castillo. This one I also gave 4 stars to. This was book 4 in the Kate Burkholder series. The publication date on this book was June of 2012. On audio, it was narrated by Kathleen McInnery, and I read this, of course, for Amish in April. So this is the 4th book in the Kate Burkholder. These can be read out of order because each one is kind of a separate case, and I can tell you because my mom read this one without having read the first book in the series. She thought, because we share, I give her access to my library, my Libby, and I'll borrow books for her and stuff like that. So anyway, she saw this in here, and she saw it was an audio, and I hadn't listened to it yet, and she thought that it was for her to listen to. And she's like, it was really good. I'm like, it was 4th in the series. Oh, really? So I've now borrowed her book number 1. So she's going to work through it from there. So the premise of this series, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, this is a thriller series, and it can get very dark and it can get very graphic in terms of the violence and that aspect of it. So essentially, Kate Burkholder is a sheriff in a small town called Painter's Mill, which I believe is in Ohio. And she is former Amish. So she was raised in the Amish faith, but decided not to join the church. So she then went off and kind of joined the English, and eventually, went through the academy and became a sheriff in this small town. So in this story, there is a bunch of local Amish, not local to her, but local to the area, like within a 100-mile radius maybe, these teenagers who are going missing, and they're trying to find out what's happening to them. And that's really all I want to tell you, because I went into this knowing nothing about it, and it was really good. I like this one a lot. If you like thrillers, mystery thrillers. I wouldn't say that this is a traditional thriller. These are definitely mystery thrillers, but with a much darker edge. A lot more graphic, a lot more gritty. Really good. This is not your atypical Amish book. Like, when Elizabeth and I decided to do Amish in April, I'm sure this is not at all what Elizabeth was thinking for books to read for Amish in April. But I picked this series up. The first book, I read it for the first year we did Amish in April. This is now the 4th year. And I was so thrilled that I picked this up because it is so good, so easy to read. and they really are, like, surprisingly, considering the graphic nature of the books themselves, they are enjoyable and they are really interesting, and I really like them. The next one, I'm just like jumping all over the place this week. Contemporary romance to a mystery thriller, back to a contemporary romance. So the next one that I finished was To Have and to Hate by R.S. Gray. I gave this one 4 stars as well. The publication date on this one was March of 2021, and this was a contemporary romance. So this one was cute. I didn't love it, and I was reminded by one of my viewers, so thank you so much, about The Fox and the Hound, which is another R.S. Gray that I've read. So this is now my 4th. I read With This Heart, the Prince Charming one, which I can't remember the title of. It might just be called My Prince Charming or something. The Fox and the Hound, and now this one. So The Fox and the Hound and With This Heart are probably my 2 favorites. This one was cute. My issue with this one was... Okay, so the whole premise of this story, the story is about Elizabeth and Walt, and they are from families who have known each other for generations, and their grandparents, their grandfathers, started this medical device company. Like, they make like pacemakers and things like that, and there's this huge family trust. So in order to release the trust or have something happen with the trust, 2 of the grandchildren have to marry each other, and in this case, it ends up being Walt and Elizabeth. They've met a couple of times, but they don't really know each other, and there is a bit of an age gap. Elizabeth has just finished school. She wants to be an artist, or she is an artist, I should say. She's kind of that starving artist in New York City, not a lot of money in her bank account. She comes from a very well-to-do family, but her family really needs the trust because they are very quickly going bankrupt because they spend money like it's water. So Elizabeth marries Walt, and the whole stipulation is we are not to be in contact. It's literally a marriage on paper only, just to get access to this trust. End of story. So then she calls him because she needs a co-signer on the apartment that she wants to rent in New York. So then she ends up moving, due to circumstance, she ends up moving in with him into his very, very ostentatious penthouse apartment in New York City. And the 2 of them kind of cohabitate, and it's the story from there. My biggest issue with this book, and why it didn't get 5 stars, because I really thought it was adorable, was throughout the book, like, you're reading it through Elizabeth's eyes. Like, she is telling it in first... Is it in first person? I think it's in first person. So you're really seeing her, and you're seeing how she's kind of slowly starting to fall for Walt. And it was really cute. The problem is you don't see it from Walt's side, and for me, it was like that. Like, all of a sudden, he flicked on a light switch, and the 2 of them were together. And I had a harder time with it. Now, that being said, the epilogue did tie it together a bit, because the epilogue is actually told from Walt's perspective. Now, I don't want to say anything about it because it was so, so adorable. But I felt it really did tie that up a little bit better. If that epilogue hadn't have been there, it probably would have gotten an even lower star rating, just because Walt's, like, for Elizabeth, it was definitely more of a, I like you, I like your personality, I think I can definitely help you, because he's a bit of a grouch, he's a workaholic, that kind of thing, and she's trying to drag him out of his shell, whereas you don't see that from him, right? So that emotional part of it, and it's like all of a sudden, they were getting frisky, if you will. And I mean, it felt more like it was a physical thing with Walt as opposed to the emotional relationship that Elizabeth was feeling. So yeah, a lot of thoughts on this one, but I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read on KU, so go ahead and do that. And her books really are a delight. I haven't hated any of them that I've read. It's just that The Fox and the Hound and With This Heart were definitely my 2 favorites. And the last book that I finished this week was Lethal Licorice by Amanda Flower. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is book 2 in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series. Has a publication date of February of 2018. It's, of course, a cozy mystery. This one I did listen to on audio as well, and it was narrated by Rebecca Mitchell. So this one also, of course, was for Amish in April. Pardon me. So the premise of this story is the premise of this series is that our main character, Bailey King, is a chocolatier from New York City. And in the first book, her grandfather falls ill. So she moves back to this small town, I think again it's in Ohio, to help her grandmother run the candy shop that her and her grandfather own. In the first book, spoiler alert, the grandfather does pass away. So Bailey stays on, and now we're getting into book number 2. So in this one, there is a Amish candy contest of the ACC is what they kept calling it, in town. And all these Amish candy makers are in town to try and win this competition, kind of an idea. And one of the competitors is found dead in the church, an Amish woman, actually. And the story kind of goes from there. It's very quick. This was a very quick audiobook. Like, I was actually surprised listening to it. I'm like, oh, it's already over? Like, it really flew. Like, it was really good. But it only takes place over a couple of days. So that part of it was great. And what I know this might sound like a criticism, but it's not really, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Most books that you read about that have people who are Amish in them, I mean, outside of the Kate Burkholder books, because that's kind of like in a class all of its own. But in these ones, the Amish characters are made to be very, again, this is going to sound so weird, very human. And not that they're not human, but the Amish people, like, you put them on like such a pedestal. Like, they're these, like, they don't say anything bad about anybody. They're very God-fearing. They're very, whatever. Whereas this one, in these books, they're spiteful and they're a little bit mean, and a lot of them gossip. So I really, again, it's not a criticism because I like it. I think it's really fun. It's a really fun representation of what we typically think of when we think of an Amish community, right? So this one was really good. So I've now read book 1 and book 2, and I did jump ahead at the holidays because I had the, what do you call it? One of the novellas, one of the holiday novellas. So I have jumped ahead in the series a little bit and read a novella, but that was fine. It was nothing to do with anything else. And of course there is a romance with Bailey and the local town sheriff. But the little Amish and English community within these books is just an absolute delight, and I highly recommend that you check it out. If you like cozy mysteries, these ones are so fun, and I think they're up to book 8 now, so it's been around for a while. So if you haven't read them yet, there is a lot for you to catch up on. So excuse me, just a sip of coffee this morning. Still use my Peeps mug. I'll use that all year round just because it's so nice and big. So what am I currently reading? So currently, I haven't started it yet. I'm going to be starting it while I'm editing this. I'm going to be listening to, oh my gosh, I should have written it down. Oh my goodness, I am totally drawing a blank. Bear with me just a second here. Murder Simply Brewed. Murder Simply Brewed by Vannetta Chapman. It is the first book in the Amish Village Mystery Series. So it's another Amish book. I will not get it done. Amish in April ends today. I'm probably not going to finish it today because I haven't started it yet. It's 10.5 hours on audio. So I'll probably get it done tomorrow, but that's okay. I'm still reading it during Amish in April. That's good enough. And it's another cozy mystery. I have read Vannetta Chapman before. I would consider her to be an OG. She's an old school Amish writer. Especially, I think she's written actually for the Love Inspired line by Harlequin, but don't quote me on that one. I'm just having a quick look here at my shelves. Yes, she has. The Perfect Amish Match is one that she's written. I knew I recognized the name from Harlequin. So she has written for Harlequin. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I have it out from my library on audio, and I can't wait. And then the one I wanted to finish yesterday but didn't get done was Plain... Again, I'm drawing a blank, you guys. Plain Target by Dana R. Lynn. This is the first book in the Amish Country Mystery Series. So in this book, I am right now only about 30% of the way through it. And it's about our main character, Jess, who is a horse trainer. And her brother died. They think it was suicide, but she doesn't believe that because they are both very worship faith-based people. Like this is a love-inspired suspense. So these are definitely Christian-based inspirational romantic suspense novels. So both of them are very deep in their faith, and suicide isn't something that he would have done based on his faith. So she thinks that he was murdered. and she's trying to find out what happened to him, and I guess there's some people after her. And her and Seth, who's a guy that she knew in high school, he's actually an EMT as well. The two of them are going to be hiding in Amish country, but I'm 30% of the way through and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm wondering how much of it actually takes place in Amish country, which is always very disappointing when you see books that are billed a certain way, that you think that this is how they're going to play out. And it turns out that, yeah, that does happen, but it's a very small percentage of the book. Like, you know, like a book that's billed as a holiday romance, and it turns out that the holiday aspect of it only happens in the last like 2 chapters or something. It's just disappointing. You know, you're going in expecting one thing, but you're kind of getting something else. So anyway, regardless, I will let you guys know my thoughts on this one next Sunday. So yeah, so that is everything for the reading. Let me show you guys my crafting this week. So only 2 projects to show you. So what I've decided to do is, my sweet spot for working on projects, whether it be knitting or cross stitch, is about 3 or 4 days. So what I've been doing is I've been randomly, because I have that wheel, the app on my phone that I use to pick my next book. I also created one for all of my crafting projects. So, you know, I'll spin the wheel and get a project and I'll work on it for 3 or 4 days. And that's typically when I start to get a little bored of it and I'm like, I want to move on to something else. So then I'll spin the wheel again and pick the next project. So that's pretty much what I've done this week. So I worked on 2 different cross stitch projects. I don't think you guys have seen, I know you haven't seen one of them because I just started it. But the other one I don't think you guys have seen before. And that is another one of the cities. So I think last week I showed you guys my Toronto piece that I'm doing. So from that same designer, which is Satsuma Street on Instagram. Well, she's probably on Instagram, on Etsy. I'll leave it linked below. She does a ton of different cities. And another one that she did was San Francisco. Now, I've never been to San Francisco, but the pattern was so cute. I had to do it. So this is what I have done so far. It's nothing spectacular, but clearly, oops, sorry for knocking. Clearly, that's the Golden Gate Bridge there, and I'm just slowly working on this one. So yeah, there's a cable car in here, and it's really, really adorable. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one a great deal, to getting more of it done. But yeah, I am really, really pleased with that so far. So yeah, super cute. Again, nothing too spectacular to see, although you can clearly see it's going to be San Francisco based on the Golden Gate Bridge. And like I said, I've never been there. The pattern, all these cities patterns that she does are just so adorable. The colors are so whimsical. That's what I love about them, is these aren't your standard like grays and browns of a city. They're like a lot more colorful and a lot more fun. So like I said, I'll leave it linked below for any of you fellow cross stitchers who might want to check it out for yourself. And they're really, really fun and easier. Like they're not beginner level patterns per se, but they are not anything spectacularly difficult. The other pattern that I'm working on, again, I'll leave it linked below, is by a company called Trellis and Time. And I believe it's the Spring Sampler is what it's called. So I had meant to start this one back in March, and I had a gray fabric to do it on, but I just was not happy with the fabric choice. So I ended up ordering the actual called for fabric on 123stitch.com. I'll leave that linked in case any of you fellow cross stitchers want to check that out. So this is a sampler, and for those of you who don't know what a sampler is, it's like little motifs all over the whole piece. I don't have my tablet here to show you what the finished piece will look like, but like I said, I'll leave it linked below so you guys can check it out for yourself. But it's called for on this dark gray fabric. It's actually called Blackboard is the colorway. But that's what I've gotten done so far. Isn't that adorable? It is just the absolute cutest. I just love the little, oh, it's so cute. So it's going to be a decent sized piece when it's done. Like I think over here next I've started to work on a radish or something like that. So yeah, so this has been really, really enjoyable to work on. I'm going to continue working on it today and probably tomorrow because I'm still in the mood to work on it. But I wanted to show it to you guys. So obviously you'll probably see more of this done next week. And like at the bottom of it, like what I'm doing is I'm actually going across. So then I'll go down and then across whatever the motifs are. But at the very bottom of this piece is sheep. And you know the knitter in me is just ecstatic to be stitching sheep. I can't wait. So yeah, so that one I'm going to work on some more today. But yeah, guys, that is it. That's all I've got for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. You guys, I've been rambling now for a little bit, so I will let you go. I'm going to get this edited and posted, and I will talk to you guys all in my next video. Until then, take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.